Okay, let's take a deeper look at image acquisition. Image acquisition naturally refers to the process of digital data acquisition for input into a picture archive and communication system. Image acquisition is the first point of data entry into a PACS, and as such, errors generated here can be propagated throughout the system, adversely affecting clinical operations. In other words, if you get garbage in, you get garbage out. You want studies to come into your PACS system in pristine condition with no screw-ups so that you have less to fix in your system. Imaging modality conformance with the DICOM standard is critical to successful image acquisition. So you want digital DICOM images. Anything less than that, and we'll talk about frame grabbers and things like that, that's a secondary workaround. Oh, they couldn't make it DICOM compliant, so we got to do this other screen capture. You want the direct digital DICOM feed whenever possible. These are the workarounds, or just that, workarounds. Modality worklist. Most modality vendors now provide the ability to download patient information and appointment data directly to the modality. In these circumstances, the technologist only needs to select the correct patient's name from the modality worklist, and the patient's demographic data is loaded into the DICOM header. It wasn't always like that. Originally, when digital modalities first came out, the technologist had to sit at the console and type in the patient's name and type in their birth date and type in the reason for study and type all that information in. Well, guess what? Every time you made a typo, you created a new patient, right? So if you meant to type Jeff Snyder, N-Y-D-E-R, and you typed Jeff Snader, S-N-A-D-R, well, you just typed in a whole different patient, and that didn't match up in PACS. It made a lot of work. So the world got smarter, and they created a modality worklist, and now all that information comes up on a list. You click on the list, and it populates all of that information into the DICOM header, and the images go into that DICOM header, and it creates fewer errors. Errors still happen, it just happens less. There are two modes for accomplishing the data transfer to the imaging modality. The first method is to automatically transfer the data based on an event trigger. An event trigger could be when the exam is scheduled for that particular modality or when the patient is checked in at the modality. The second method involves a query to either the RIS or PACS database, depending on the workflow model. The query is initiated by the tech, entering some data such as patient name or MRN, and then the query is performed and the data downloaded to the modality on demand. Okay, so, plain English. There's two ways for the modality worklist to happen. You can set up an automatic transfer based on something that happens. The patient checks in. When they check in, it automatically sends that information to the list, say at the CT scanner. Say we're talking about a patient for a CT. The second way is a manual method where the technologist types in, is Mr. Smith here? How many Smiths are available for CTs? And then it just goes and queries and looks and brings back the data. Either way, what's important is we get the information onto the modality worklist. The benefits of modality worklist cannot be overstated. Incorrectly manually entered patient information, such as all the possible combinations of just James Jones, J Jones, Jones J, can result in mislabeled image files and incomplete study information, which makes more work for the PACS admin, and I am never about that. Acquisition of digital cross-sectional studies. Image acquisition from digital modalities such as CT, MR, and ultrasound should be a direct digital capture. Direct digital connections allow capture and transmission of image data from the modality at the full spatial resolution and full grayscale bit depth inherent to the modality. Yes, frame grabbers may be employed to digitize the video signal. And this is important for like a biopsy, where they're putting a needle into a particular place. And so instead of taking still images, they're going to do a video capture, right? So they're just running the machine constantly, making video instead of still images. In the frame grabber method, the image quality is limited by the process to just 8 bits, which is 256 shades of gray, while most modalities capture video at 12, 16, or even 32 bits. Capture of only 8 bits may not allow viewing of all the appropriate clinical window and level settings and is therefore not optimal. In other words, you don't want to be making a diagnosis about a lung nodule from a video from a CT scanner. You want still images to do that. Thus, direct capture of digital data from native digital modalities is the preferred method of acquisition. Acquisition of projection radiology or radiography. Methods of digital image acquisition of conventional projection X-ray exams include CR, DR, and film scanners. Film scanners are necessary even in an all-digital or filmless imaging department so that outside films can be converted from analog to digital. Oh, you're all digital. You don't need a film scanner. Until somebody from Joe Bob's hospital down the road that isn't fully digital sends their patient with some film. Now what are you going to do? You're going to carry the film around to everybody that needs it? No, you're going to digitize it, put it into your PACS system. So that's why even if you're all digital, you still need a film scanner somewhere in the basement because you might need it occasionally. Several types of film digitizers exist today with a wide range of capabilities. Low-cost entry-level scanners use direct analog to digital conversion. That's ADC, converter technology. These have a max resolution of 1024 by 1024 by 8 bits or 256 grays, thus limiting the window and level range again. More commonly used are CCD and laser scanners. CCD laser scanners have a max resolution of 496 by 496 by 8 to 12 bits or 1024 grays. Laser scanners use either a helium neon gas laser or a solid-state diode laser to scan as fine as 50 microns, producing an image sharpness of 10 line pairs per millimeter, and this allows them to accommodate the full range of resolution achievable in an analog image. So I feel a test question in here. Laser scanners use either a helium neon gas laser or a solid-state diode laser. That should be a test question. I'm making that a test question. Acquisition of projection radiography. Computed radiography refers to projection X-ray imaging using storage phosphors as the detector. CR units perform image processing to optimize the radiograph for output display. Prior to the DICOM standard, only the raw data could be directly acquired digitally. Now, image processing parameters can be passed in the DICOM header and display algorithms can be applied. In general, the digital image processing applied to CR consists of a recognition or analysis phase, followed by contrast enhancement or frequency processing. And there are 5 image processing algorithms. They are image segmentation, contrast enhancement, spatial frequency processing, dynamic range control, and multiscale image contrast amplification, or MUSICA. Okay, so what am I really talking about here? What I'm saying is, if you remember way back from week 1, I said PACS doesn't alter the image. PACS just takes in whatever you send. Now, the way the acquisition process works is the technologist will acquire the image. They will then look at it on their monitor to make sure it's good. Once they send it, their unit may do some post-processing. Okay, and so the post-processing that the CR unit does, or the DR unit, is image segmentation, contrast enhancement, spatial frequency processing, dynamic range control, or MUSICA. Some technologists are not aware of this process. Many technologists are not aware of this process. They look at it on their monitor, their image looks a certain way. When they look it up in PACS, it looks different. So they assume that PACS has altered their image. PACS didn't alter their image. Actually, their own modality did this post-processing, right? So these image processing parameters happen after acquisition, before it arrives in PACS. And that's why it's important that you understand these and know about them so you can be aware and educate the technologists if need be. And my God, this is almost 10 minutes long, so we'll stop here and then we'll dig into image segmentation in part 2. Thank you for watching.